It is Tuesday. It's a victory Tuesday. The first time in probably 6 months, 7 months that I've been able to say that. I'm Desmond Johnson, joined by Jaelen Gilkey, WFMY News 2 sports anchor extraordinaire. Joining me in the Tuesday co-host chair that he shares with David Glenn every other week. We got a loaded show for you for the Desmond Johnson show today. College football, the resurrection of the Pac-12. Some news coming out this past Monday night regarding some potential additions to the Pac-12. What that's going to mean, ripple effect across college football. In the ACC, Clemson and Florida State trying to get some extra revenue out of the ACC, trying to finagle the league of the grant of rights deal. We'll talk about that. New AP Top 25 is out. We'll discuss is Texas the number one team in the country, or is it still Georgia? There's a back and forth with that. And of course, in the NFL, biggest surprise, 3-0 teams. Biggest surprise, 0-3 teams. You know we're going to talk about our Panthers. We're probably going to talk a little Ravens, too. We'll get into all that stuff. And plus, I am going to touch it because I had to produce that game Saturday night. But, yo, A&T, man, like, what in the world? Like, the Aggie Eagle Classic was not a classic for Aggie fans. Yeah, that was hard. And I had to go do that press conference on Monday with Coach Brown. So we might touch on that. We might just pretend like it didn't even happen and just
I think that's for the best, brother.
Yeah, I think we might just move on. We're moving on to next week. But we're here. We got you covered during your lunch break. This is the Desmond Johnson Show.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's fourth and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And welcome into another edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. Tuesday live here across the Triad on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. You'll be able to hear the audio for this a little bit later on today on the Tobacco Road podcast channel. Desmond Johnson here with you with Jaelen Gilkey, WFMY News 2 sports anchor. Man, we got a lot to get to. How was your weekend? Because there was a lot of stuff going on this weekend in the world of sports. I know you're an A&T alum. It was somber over there yesterday, but they seem like alumni still seem like in good spirits.
Hey, man, it's part of the process. I know that this is where we are now as a program. It was kind of an ugly breakup after Coach Wash left. So, nothing was really smooth after that. And so we kind of expected these type of, scores, but I don't know if we expected these type of performances, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really thought we would go into overtime with Winston-Salem State. I don't think we would be in the game against Delaware at half and then don't score any points. And then it was 21-17, I think, at half, and then it ended up 42-17 final.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the disaster this weekend up in Durham, 66 to 24.
That's by far
it was 66-16, really.
Yeah, they got something there right at the very end. And I've done production for A&T now since 2021, and that's the worst I can remember.
But see, I can't be too upset because, not too long ago, back-to-back years, my Aggies went 55-0 and then 44-0. Yeah. So, you got to take your lumps as you hand them out. It kind of goes hand in hand, and it's ugly right now, though. It's ugly.
For Aggie Nation, like I feel like I'm kind of adopted in. I've been there a couple of years now, helping with production for football and basketball. I still don't feel comfortable saying Aggie Pride. I feel like that's not something for me to say. I didn't go to school there, so I just
appreciate you.
Right? Yeah, I understand. It's like I understand. I don't chime in when they all do it. That's y'all's thing. But I feel like Coach Brown needs another cycle or two recruiting in the portal because people don't really understand exactly what happened. Like they went from the MEAC to the Big South, and then from the Big South to the CAA, all during COVID, really. And I mean, you literally went up 2 levels of
it was within 3 years for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, and then when you let Coach Washington go and Coach Brown came in, that was kind of a late hire too, because he got hired like in January. So like by then, you already had players that had left in the portal that got recruited by Coach Washington.
Tons of players left in the portal.
A lot of them. And then at that point, it was so late in the game, it was hard for Coach Brown to really recoup that. And then this was the first full offseason he really had. So it's like their depth seemed like the issue to me listening to the game. It's like they was running out of bodies. Like, and it's going to take some time. But from talking to Coach Brown and hearing their philosophy in terms of what they're planning on doing, there's so much high school talent right here, like underneath their nose, like 10 minutes away. And I was like, look, man, I'm in with Grimsley. I'm in with East Forsyth. I'm in with Glenn and Southwood. Like there's kids.
And he needs to offer Mitchell Summers.
Please, dude, I got a couple of D tackles that could help immediately, like right now, like
for me.
And it's crazy because I don't know if Mitch has even gotten any D1 offers, and he is a problem. Like he is a beast. He like 3,000 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah, 42 touchdowns last year,
and not an offer because of his size. I think he's like 5'8", 5'9", but like
he ain't that big.
Yeah, no, he really ain't. But like Brian Holloway told me yesterday when I was over there and I was telling him about him, he was like, "Hey, we kind of got a good thing going with short running backs over here." I was like, "I know, go get him. He's right up the street. He's 10 minutes up the street." But
if you pull the trigger now, he'll be with you forever.
Yeah, and he's such a great kid too. But those kids are here and they're getting pushed out because of the portal in college football, where teams are electing to get older players. Right. Sometimes it works, like Florida State last year. Sometimes it don't work, like Florida State this year. So it just, if you get a good mix, then you can kind of rebuild quickly. But I see people calling for y'all to go back to the MEAC and stuff like that. The MEAC's falling apart. Like y'all don't need to go back to the MEAC.
It's not even about that, man. It's just about the culture of the team right now. I don't know if the current staff and administration has the connection to the previous regime, culture, established tradition of success. You know, that's part of the program and what Coach Broadway and Coach Washington have built over the last 15, 20 years or whatever it was. So to go from where the program was in the early 2000s, when I don't think they won a game for 2-3 straight years, like to the and then when you get to 2018, 2019, 2020, where they lost maybe 1 or 2 games in a 3-year span, you know, one of those was to Duke.
That's when I came in, like right around that period where y'all were on fire. Like,
so and that doesn't even include the 15, 16, 17 years of success in Celebration Bowl championships as well. So
it's a different level of competition. Yeah,
it is. And so when you step up in these conferences, not only does the talent have to step up, but the connection and the why has to be there, and it has to be a driving force as to what the program means and displays when it steps on the field. And I don't know if that's prevalent throughout the roster. And a lot of the older guys that played before that feel like, you know, they're being pushed to the side when they could really be helpful tools to, like, this is what we actually mean, because that was something that they were taught and it's been passed down for, decades.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, during Coach Brown's press conference yesterday on campus, that you can see actually on the North Carolina A&T Athletics Facebook page or YouTube channel, he was still very upbeat. You know, he took the blame for all of it. He was like, the buck stops with me. I think the alumni that were in there for the luncheon really respected that. Yeah. And I think most of them kind of realize, like, the situation that A&T's in right now, that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to kind of build this up. And I think they're patient enough to do it. It was still a full house for the luncheon even after that. There was some laughs. Like, they get it. So I think they're going to be okay. That was one thing that I didn't necessarily love seeing it this weekend. I hated seeing it. I had to actually produce that game, and it was hard. But that was one of the things this weekend that I saw. I loved or hated. Another thing that I saw that actually started happening on Monday, the reinvention of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was left for dead, with Oregon State and Washington State be the lone two remaining after pretty much everybody took off for the Big 12 or the Big 10 and the SEC. Utah State has accepted an invitation to join the Pac-12 and become the newly formatted conference's 7th member, sources told ESPN on Monday night. The Pac-12's interest in a bunch of AAC schools kind of got pushed to the side, and now it feels like they're raiding the Mountain West right now. Utah State would be the 5th school from the Mountain West to join Oregon State and Washington State in this new Pac-12. They'd be joining Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State, who already announced they're going to the league. Utah State's got a pretty good football program. They won the Mountain West in 2021, and they're a good basketball school too. They've been to 24 NCAA tournament appearances.
So San Diego State too.
Yeah, San Diego State. They're actually building a nice little
They was in
little name here, boys.
they went to the championship game a couple years ago.
Yeah, they did. Shout out to what's his name? They went to San Diego State. Your boy,
Kawhi
Leonard. So that has them in an interesting situation. The Pac-12 looking to kind of take things, and then I saw immediately following that, because of it, UNLV is now exploring options to join the Pac-12 too, because Utah State left, and UNLV had already told the Mountain West they'll stay, but that was dependent on them having eight schools, and now they don't. So UNLV may end up joining the Pac-12, which would be pretty interesting too. So we keep an eye on that. And then, of course, this came out a little bit earlier last week after my Tuesday show, where we kind of do more college football and whatnot.
And let me hit on that Pac-12 real quick. And all of this is happening with the Mountain West teams, all because of the common thread, the TV deal, right?
Yeah,
they got 20. I think they got about 20 months left on their current TV deal. They don't have a plan for one going forward, and these universities, are deciding to jump to the well-known brand, the larger brand of the Pac-12, who has a plan for a TV deal upcoming, and I think it'd be 2026 when they all.
Yeah, I think I believe that's correct. I'm still looking at the. Hold on, I'm sorry, and the other one that joined. Yeah, so I think you're right with that, and honestly, I could see the Mountain West basically just getting absorbed into the Pac-12.
Yeah.
It's still weird to see USC Michigan week 2 of the college football season as a Big 10 game or whatever.
But I think it makes the slate better. It makes it.
It does.
It keeps things more intriguing.
So you got that there, and then of course over here on our side of the pond, or our side of the country, ACC, Clemson, FSU are renewing talks on revenue distribution. This came out. I had David Glenn with me last Tuesday. And typically, whenever I have him on, something's happened with Florida State. And we actually were talking about them being winless when he was home last week.
Yeah.
They did win. They did beat Cal 14-9 on Saturday, but they are a shell of what they were last year. Clemson and Florida State, of course, they're in this battle with the ACC and the grant of rights. They're all suing each other. Florida State and Clemson trying to leave, which I find funny, because I don't know what league would want Florida State at this point. With all the all the nonsense they've caused in the league, and the fact that they're 1-3, so like the whole our brand brings more eyes to the table than anybody else. That's a little in danger right now with the way their team is playing. But the ACC is opening up conversation. Basically, Clemson and Florida State are asking to do a model where, based on ratings and brand value, that some schools might get more of a cut than other schools. So like a Clemson would get more of a cut than a Boston College or a Wake Forest or something to that effect. I don't think that the ACC needs to do this to placate Florida State and Clemson. The grant of rights deal, it runs till 2036, but ESPN has to renew this, I think by next spring. They have to renew it going forward for the rest of that thing. Otherwise, the grant of rights can fall apart. There's really no reason for ESPN to not renew it, because they're kind of getting it at pennies of the dollar compared to what they're paying for SEC or any other league. So that's a lot of content too. So I don't think that they're going to bow out of it. But your thoughts on this? Should the ACC bend to the whims of Clemson and Florida State and start doing these weird revenue sharing deals, or should they stick to their guns and be like, look, this is what you signed and this is what we're going to do until 2036, and then we'll figure it out from there?
Well, technically, I don't really think the ACC has to, bow down, just because I feel like they kind of have Clemson and Florida State in this very precarious situation to where they want to go, they're not really like a hot commodity, or they can't compare. Those brands don't compare to the other brands of the SEC.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to ratings or support, fan base, like, Clemson, of course, is a, national power, but still, when you look at Oklahoma or Texas, right, those two schools, when you add schools of those size and brands of those magnitudes, those 5, 6, 10x the support and the size of the Clemson brand. So when you have a Georgia, when you got Alabama, you got LSU, that really dominated the region as well as the sport of college football, because that's where all the money comes from anyway. So it's really kind of tough for Clemson and FSU, who are, in competition in their state as the largest brands. for sure.
Because even Clemson and Florida State, like I hear the argument about the SEC, but the SEC doesn't need them. They already have teams in South Carolina and Florida. So what's the value there?
And honestly, South Carolina's a bigger brand than Clemson.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Clemson, other than the stretch, the Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence stretch, they won 2 national championships. If you go before that, and even now, they haven't made the college football playoff in like 5 years or something like that. And Dabo refuses to use the portal. I know they're on a little run right now. They're beating up on the App States of the world, and I don't know what happened to NC State. What happened to NC State on Saturday? I got a couple of kids that are playing on the NC State roster that I know from high schools I deal with around here. So
for sure.
So I don't. And now everybody's back on the Clemson bandwagon again. But I'm like, it's still. They're not as good as. Actually, it's a good segue to get to the AP top 25 that came out yesterday. And I'll pull it up here and we'll just kind of go scroll through it real quick as we're starting to get to some games. Got a huge one coming up this Saturday, actually. Georgia and Alabama taking on each other early in the year.
But see, that's the type of games you get when you add Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC.
Yep, exactly.
You add more teams, you get these type of matchups in just regular conference play that you wouldn't usually get on a normal year.
So Texas overtook Georgia last week to become number 1 in the country. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to take some time for Texas to acclimate itself to the SEC. No, they're just the number 1 team in the country 4 weeks in, 4-0, defeated UL Monroe 51-3. They have 50-plus points in 4 straight home games dating back to last year, second longest streak in Texas history. They got Mississippi State coming up Saturday. Georgia, 3-0. They didn't play last week. They got the big one against Alabama, 7:30 on ABC and ESPN, Saturday night's college football game. Ohio State still at 3, Alabama at 4, Tennessee at 5, and actually looking pretty good. And they got some recruits coming in too, including Faison Brandon, not next year, but the year after at quarterback. Ole Miss is at 6. The SEC teams are in the.
That's what I was about to say. 5 out of the top 6.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss are all 5 of the top 6 teams in the country in the SEC, and the lone one that's not is Ohio State. That's insane. Now, granted, they're going to start beating each other here in a little bit. Shout out to Miami.
It won't be much movement though.
Nah. I mean, whatever between Alabama and Georgia, they're 2 and 4. They're not going to drop much further than 5 or 6. Probably it's just kind of the way it goes down, and they'll move the rest of them up. Miami's sitting at 7. They went up a spot. That's the highest ranking ACC team on here. They play Friday night versus Virginia Tech. I believe that's at home at Miami because actually I was just hearing, I don't know if you've been hearing this yet, here in the area, a lot of high school teams, their games are getting moved up to Thursday due to, I guess, a tropical storm or something's coming through on Friday.
Potential weather. It was raining pretty heavy this morning.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty heavy rains coming our way these next couple of days.
So keep up with us here. I'll have Mark Pruitt, Winston-Salem Journal prep beat writer, tomorrow live on our show Wednesday, and we'll have more of an idea of the list of schools that are moving their games. But as it stands right now, our Grimsley game on WCOG on Friday night has been moved to Thursday, starting at 7:00 with Chase Williams and Coach Willoughby. So that's there. I'm waiting on confirmation to see if East Forsyth's moving their game. They're playing Davie at home. I just spoke to Coach Willard. He said that they did move the JV game up to Wednesday, and that by the time we get to the Nest later on tonight at Jay Peppers, we'll probably have an idea. So just keep watching our social media. East Forsyth versus Davie's probably getting moved up to Thursday. East trying to move to 5-0 in the season after beating Reagan a lot to a little, 69 to 21 or something like that.
Yeah,
it got bad at the very end. They ran an onside kickback for a touchdown in the last 2 minutes of the game on a running clock. It got bad. The East Forsyth team, they got something going on. I think they have a collision going on with Grimsley, which is what the whole tribe wants to see. We thought we were going to see it last year, and we didn't get a chance to, but we might get it this year. Oregon from the Big Ten, they're in 8th. They didn't play last week. They take on UCLA. Penn State's at 9, and then Utah's at 10. So Utah coming out of the Big 12's the only Big 12 team in the top 10. There's only one ACC team in there, and you got 1, 2, 3 Big 10 teams in there, counting Oregon, which just seems weird to say that Oregon's a Big 10 team. It's like Oregon in the Big 10. It's just all of it's weird. But I want to get to, before we get out of here, because we only got a couple minutes left, over into the NFL. I wanted to ask you, who's your biggest surprise 3-0 team, and biggest surprise either 1-2 or 0-3 team? Because there's some the Bills put it on Jacksonville last night in that Monday Night Football game. They should have just stopped it early. it just rolled out of control. They're 3-0. Pittsburgh's 3-0. Of course, the Chiefs are 3-0 and haven't really looked that great doing it.
No.
They just know how to win games. And then in the NFC, it's just Minnesota and Seattle at 3-0. Out of those teams, which one surprised you the most being 3-0?
Definitely got to say Minnesota. Just because of the whole quarterback situation, not knowing, trying to replace Kirk Cousins, bringing in Sam Darnold, having JJ McCarthy. He gets hurt, out for the year. Sam Darnold steps in, who was most thought was probably going to be the backup.
Yeah.
Just because they took JJ McCarthy in the top 10 this year's draft. And now Sam Darnold looks like he could be the MVP of the league.
Dude, it's
crazy. It's unbelievable. It really is. So to see the way that the Minnesota Vikings look, of course, they have Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison went down with the ankle, but Jalen Naylor stepped up. He looks good. They look impressive, man. So
the defense has been really good too.
Exactly. The defense has been absolutely lights out.
They've only allowed 30 points in 3 games.
So to see the way the Minnesota Vikings look with their 3-0 start, they definitely have to be my surprise pick so far to start the year.
I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh.
Well, their schedule was easy, man. I don't care.
But I mean, we had questions about quarterback Justin Fields. Russell Wilson hadn't played, and they're just playing like rock fights. Like every game is just like this grinded out kind of just kind of game.
They play the Falcons, who scored 10 points. They played the Broncos, like you said. Their defense is lights out. Their defense is lights out for sure.
But they're kind of even so. I was kind of expecting Baltimore to be sitting there at 3-0, but Baltimore is 1-2 off of a loss to the Chiefs by a toe, and then they lost to the Raiders last Sunday before this one. Before turning around and basically
in the last minute.
Yeah, in the last minute. So like Baltimore to me is like a fake 1-2 team. Like they really should be like 2-1 or something like that because they ran through the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys forgot how to tackle on Sunday. It looked like January Dallas.
We knew that was gonna happen. I've been preaching. Everybody was asking, "Oh, what you think?" I said, "Man, look, if we don't run the ball for 250 yards,
right?
I don't care if we don't. I don't care if we win. If we don't run the ball for 250 yards, then I'm concerned."
Oh my gosh, Derrick Henry, like his eyes lit up like Christmas when it's just it was running through Dallas' defense.
That game went exactly how I thought it would. Like Dallas didn't get in the red zone, CD Lamb fumble. Like there we go. Just because it was 14-3, and then I was like, okay, it's about to be 14-10. Like all right, whatever. No fumble. Here we go. Now it's 24-3, and 26-3, and then the onside kick really made the game way closer than it should have been. So
I ain't worried about Baltimore. I ain't worried about them at all. JP Monday says
got Buffalo Sunday.
Ooh, that's actually Buffalo good one. Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out. JP Monday does stuff at Tobacco Road. Says, how you gonna have Silky Johnson on as a co-host and still rock a hoodie today, bro? It's the second day of fall. This is hoodie weather. I've been waiting on this for like 5 months. Like, I can't wait to rock out these hoodies all of a sudden again. And plus,
JP,
I don't know what the weather's doing. I just went outside and it's like it was cloudy while I was out there with my dog, and by the time I came in, the sun is out. And now I don't know what's happening outside. The weather's weird today. It's going to be like this probably the rest of the week too, with that weather coming in at the end of the week. Biggest surprise, 0-3 or 1-2 team.
You go first this time.
You know what? I'm gonna change my answer to Seattle for the 3-0 team because I didn't even realize they were 3-0. And that division is upside down. Arizona, the Rams, and the 49ers, all 1-2. 49ers dealing with some injuries. Out of those, I would imagine the 49ers have the ability to turn it around. I'm just looking at the Rams. Their point differential is -34. They won this past Sunday.
Yeah.
But I'm going to – okay, so 0-3, as I'm looking through, Cincinnati is 0-3. Jacksonville and Tennessee are both 0-3. And in the NFC, the only 0-3 team there isn't one. Every team in the NFC has at least one win.
Shout out to the Carolina Panthers.
Boy, that game was fun to watch from beginning to end, and they finally did what we've been asking for them to do for weeks: run the football, stop the run.
I really like Chuba Hubbard, man.
He's like Stu says, he's a dog. He's a dog. Him, Robert Hunt, the guard they signed.
I tell people all the time, man. I'm like, they keep bringing in all these backs, and they want to draft new backs. I said, they got the guy, man. I said every time they bring in somebody new, he just add another chip, and he just want to run harder.
Now, I will say I can't wait to see Chuba and Jonathan Brooks together in the backfield. The kid from Texas they drafted in the second round that a lot of people had as the top running back in the whole draft. He's on IR. He's able to come off after this week, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if they can incorporate him. I've given up on Miles Sanders. Like they ran him a little bit on Sunday, but nothing really crazy or special. He's got a big contract too for a running back. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of let him go in the offseason. But Carolina's got Cincinnati coming into Bank of America Stadium on Sunday in a game where I'm actually considering getting a press pass and going down to Charlotte on Sunday, possibly. I'm going to go Cincinnati because I didn't expect them to be 0-3. Maybe I should have, though, because the Bengals always start off slow, it feels like, and then they figure out a way to pick it up and go. But this one feels a little different. Jamar Chase out here arguing with referees.
They've never been 0-3, though. Well, not since Joe Burrow's been there, so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cincinnati. That's a little bit of a surprise at 0-3. Who you got? It can be a 1-2 team, too. Who you got that's kind of a shock for you?
Outside of Carolina, I would say Jacksonville.
Dude, Jacksonville
looks terrible.
Yeah.
They look pathetic. I mean, they really should have beat Miami. Trevor Etienne fumbled on the 1-yard line in week 1. They were about to score, and that would have been, 23-20, at least 20, probably 24-20.
Yeah.
So, and then week 2, they look pathetic again, this time against the Browns, who aren't any good either.
Yeah, the Browns are 1-2.
So, and then they get smashed on national TV on Monday night. So fast that we couldn't. The game was over within the 30 minutes between kickoffs of the two games.
It was
over.
We were at Playground in Clemens doing the Titans talk for West Forsyth last night, and the game was on behind us on the big screen, but they had the sound off. And every once in a while, I would see like there was these 2 Bills fans sitting at the bar, and you'd hear them cheer like every 5 minutes or something. And I'd turn around, and I'm just like, Jacksonville's getting like drugged right now. Like, what is going on? Like, what's happened to Trevor Lawrence? Like, the thing I heard that made me laugh the most, one of the things I love this weekend, I heard about Trevor Lawrence, that he is the best quarterback in the league. Like, whenever you do a list of the top 12 or top 15 quarterback, Trevor Lawrence is 12 or he's 15 or whatever. Like, he's not in that batch of bad quarterbacks, but he hadn't made that leap yet to elite. And I think that's where everybody was waiting on. He was a former number 1 overall pick, and he's got weapons. So I don't know what Jacksonville's doing.
They look terrible.
Yeah, they didn't look all that great. And then, of course, you got Kansas City at 3-0, just puttering along. They're not even playing their best football yet, and they're 3-0. That's the scary part with all this, that you still got Kansas City just sitting here, just doing Kansas City stuff. They're 2-0 in their conference already. They've already won a road game, and they're just going to get better. Xavier Worthy, I watched some of that game Sunday. They're starting to incorporate him in spots where they can just get it to him in space, and he can literally just turn around and just straight line to wherever he's going. And the kid is fast. Super fast to kill alive. And they're using him. And I like Rice, too, the other wide receiver they got.
He is very good.
Yeah.
He's really developed into a number 1 receiver.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to get some players back. They didn't have Pacheco because he got hurt on that weird – he got his leg twisted up last Sunday. And the defense is playing good, too. Or the defense is playing good, I should say. That's kind of keeping them in these games. But
absolutely.
But I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of just a quick look around the league, quick notes on college football or whatnot. I know Jalen's got some work to do. I got to get out of here myself. Everybody else need to get back to work. Lunch period's over. Go get out of here. Go to work tomorrow. We'll be back with Mark Pruitt from the Winston-Salem Journal. He'll be previewing his top 3 games in the Triad this week. Again, games are starting to get moved up to Thursday. So if you got plans to go to a high school football game this Friday, it's going to probably be rained out, and your game's probably going to end up being on Thursday night. You can keep up with us because I think we've got multiple games going on this Friday. I know we have the Grimsley game on WCOG. It has already been moved up to Thursday at 7 p.m. Chase Williams and Coach Willoughby will be on the pregame at 7, kickoff at 7:30. I'm pretty sure East Forsyth Dave's going to get moved up to 7 o'clock on WTOB for Thursday. That's me and Rod Funderburk, and Chad Delp will be over at the Nest for that. You can catch us live tonight. East Forsyth Coaches Show, the Nest, at live at J. Peppers in Kernersville. That's live at 7:30 with Coach Willard. And you can also hear Deep Water with head coach Tommy Green from Glenn and host Mike Fanning. That's also at 7:30 tonight at Monterey in Kernersville. You can hear both of those shows live on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We hope everybody enjoys your Tuesday. Stay dry. I think it's going to rain again. I don't even know for sure. Just poke your head out the window and see what it's doing. But we'll be back tomorrow.